absolutely fantastic.
Potential there for any of those matchups at the end of the day is absolutely huge.
They are on their march to try to secure this series with a 3-0 win.
They need to go for it right now, and finally they have 20. This is the moment, this is the time, this is the only chance. They push them back, they do whatever they can.
There hasn't ever been anything like this. I don't think there'll ever be anything like this again.
It is going to be so difficult to stop this battle. The shields are down. Is it going to land?
Doing what was considered impossible in the most important moment of all.
They need just one more minute. But the car is falling. The car is falling. That is going to be something we've never seen before. He's doing so much damage right now. GG.
Good morning from Los Angeles, California, and welcome to Day 2 of the Heroes of the Storm Fall Championship. I'm Solid Jake. Joining me at the desk, we have Gillyweed, Dreadnought, and Grubby. And guys, how are you feeling going into Day 2?
Jake, I had a great time yesterday. I liked seeing the meta emerge with these new patches. Things like Rhaegar, Feral lunging his way back into the meta, lots of warrior focus. And I'm excited to see how that will continue into Day 2.
Yeah, the thing I'm looking forward to the most is I think looking at the group that we're going to see play out today, there's far less defined victors, really. And it's kind of like any team can take out any team. So we're going to be able to see who ends up coming out on top.
Grubby, EStar, where do you think they sit?
Ah, man, I hope they have had a good rest. EStars is a team that has made it to the world stage many times. But they've always had a little bit like, their lineup is different and one member couldn't make it. They've had a stroke of bad luck, as it were. So I hope they had some good rest. I hope that they can live up to the expectation of many teams and fans around the world where people place them in maybe a top 4 position. Right now they're fighting for 9 to 12 plays, maybe to advance to the second group stage. So I hope they're going to be able to bring it this time.
Well, today is Day 2, which means we have 4 more teams. And to explain all of that to you, we have our esports correspondent, Anna Prosser. Take it away.
Thanks, Jake. And I want to echo that welcome. Welcome back, Heroes fans, and good morning. I hope you can feel the energy that is here today. All of us have been so excited all morning. Heroes of the Storm music is pumping through the building, and all of us are jamming to the beat. We hope that you will too. And I'll be your liaison to the players, people we're interviewing, and all the behind-the-scenes action as we move through today. But before we get to that, let's take a look at what we did yesterday and yesterday's bracket. Of course, we saw Denial Esports face off against Reborn. Denial Esports was able to advance. MVP Black then faced Burning Rage, and MVP Black came out on top. That culminated in a match between Denial Esports and MVP Black, which put MVP Black on the top. They advanced to Phase 2 of Group A. Reborn faced Burning Rage first in the lower bracket. Burning Rage advanced and then played Denial, who had been eliminated previously from that top bracket by MVP Black, but they were able to come out on top against Burning Rage, and they also advanced. So those 2 teams will be moving on in their group. Today, we're looking to identify 2 more teams to come out of this next group. Let's take a look at who they are. EStar Gaming will face off against Imperium Pro Team, and Fnatic will play Please Buff Arthas. But don't worry, those won't be the only 2 matches, as of course they will continue to play until we identify those 2 teams that will come out of Group B. Now, we would love to watch these heroes no matter what, but there's a lot at stake for these guys as well. Let's take a look at our prize pool. Our prize pool totals $1 million. That means our first place team is playing for $300,000, our second place team for $150,000, and third through fourth, $100,000. But that keeps on going. That means even teams who have already been eliminated will take home at least $25,000. That is nothing to sneeze at, and it definitely makes this whole thing a whole lot more worthwhile for some of these players. I can't wait to get into the first match. Casters, tell me a little bit about it.
Man, we have so much action lined up. $1 million on the line, and it all begins here for this group. The very first match, EStar versus Imperium. Let's take a look at these teams. Now, what do we know about them? EStar, coming from China, it's not actually a team that has played as a 5-stack for all too long, Gilly.
Right. We're looking at EStar, but it's actually a conglomeration, a super team, if you will, of 2 different teams. A super perfect team qualified and the second place position from Gold League. But only a couple of members are here because of some visa issues. So we've got Xian Xiao and another member from there as well. Misaka playing the warrior role. And then they're going to have 3 members from EStar, ones that we have seen at so many global championships. Xing Chen, Tiger, and Toomey.
Yeah, they're just going to be trying to figure out how that week of practice really builds them up. Are they going to be able to show up against Imperium Pro Team, which has actually been one of the most dominant teams within their region so far in this, like, while qualifying for this tournament?
Interestingly, although we don't know as much about Imperium Pro Team, we did have a chance to talk to them, and they are a combination of members of Philippines and Singapore. They're coming together to play in Imperium Pro Team. And they were mentioning that they do practice with Korean teams. They do assiduously study the drafts of other regions. So they think that their strongest suit is drafting. And I'd like to see, when we go and analyze the drafts, to see if they do come out on top in that region.
So just looking at that, being their strongest suit as drafting, a lot of drafting is researching your opponent. How difficult is it to draft against a team that, well, doesn't really have any true data on them?
That's a really good point that you bring up. The only research you can really get onto EStar is you can take personal preferences when it comes to specific heroes, like Falstad's one that really stands out for the individual players on this team, and then only regional trends. That is the only thing you really have moving into the drafts onto EStar.
Yeah, but part of that is a problem, right? Because when we look at things like Falstad, the members who are coming in, somebody's swapping roles. Toomey, they've said, is switching roles because likely we're going to see him maybe move into the melee assassin as they have a lot of ranged players in the way that they have set up. So it's very difficult to know who's going to be even changing roles and what heroes they're going to want, especially because Gold League was so long ago.
Yeah, it's been many months, and the meta has changed drastically since then. Well, without any further delay, let's take a look at EStar, our first team joining us here on the stage as the blue team. As we mentioned, this is the merger of Super Perfect Team and EStar due to those visa issues, but they are just making waves here. Ever since we've seen all the teams scrimming in the practice area, the murmur has been that they're just dominating most of their opponents.
Yeah, that is the talk of the town, is how well EStar has been doing in scrims.
Now, EStars have told us when we sat down with them, they said that they think that the gap of the European, the North American teams has closed. But the way that they phrased it indicates that they still very much think that they are part of the top 4 teams in the world, and that Europe and North America, they're a little closer to them now, not as far below as they used to be. So their estimation of a Southeast Asia team here probably means that they do think they are the dead favorite here.
And one thing that when looking at China and their qualifications to be able to get to the world stage, I think a lot of people thought that Super Perfect Team might be able to be better even than Zero Panda after a little bit of practice and moving their way in, even though they got second within their region. And I'm starting to think, after hearing the rumors from some of the players, that taking those all-star players from EStar and integrating them with Super Perfect Team has accelerated that so quickly for the team to where I think, like I said, like with how everybody is promoting them, that they may be one of those top 4, I mean, debatably maybe even 1 or 2 of this entire tournament.
Yeah, I think one of the other big takeaways for me was meeting that team. We got to sit down and interview all of the teams earlier this week. They seemed to have such harmony between their players. They were laughing, smiling. I can't even speak right now. It was so heartwarming to see them be that genuinely, the level of camaraderie. But yeah, we'll have to see how well they can do. Their opponents will be Imperium Pro Team, coming in from Southeast Asia.
Now, Imperium Pro Team thinks that their strongest suit is drafting. Their individual skill may be a little bit lacking due to lack of challenges in the region. We saw a spotless record within their region, so they are the very best in the region that there is to offer. But now they are here in a world stage.
Like you had alluded to as well, it's another super team of sorts, this time representing the Southeast Asia region. There's 2 members from Relics who were on the team at the Americas Championship last year, and then 2 members from Renovatio 1 who has always been at the Spring and Summer Global Championships.
Yeah, so this is their 3rd offline event, so they don't have a lack of experience in big events, but still it's a pretty big challenge, and they know that they are the underdog against the EStars, and that should let off the pressure a little bit.
Dred, are you expecting anything weird out of them being in that underdog position? Do you think they might try to cheese their way in? Because we have a lot of different teams that will either look for the experience and just look to level up their play in the long term, or teams that just want the win here and now because they know that there's a lot of money at stake.
I think because it is their first match and they know how dominant EStar could be in this tournament, I would again go for the experience. I think in the long run, it's going to be one of their smarter choices. Not until your tournament life is on the line would I worry about that cheese getting the level up in that sense. So I would like to see them play their play style, you know, especially because they were so dominant within their region. It just, I mean, statistically, these guys are like outliers across the board because they almost didn't even die, it seems like, when looking at their stats in their region. And because of that, I would like to see them, you know, test what your play style does against the rest of the world, and it starts with China.
And the funny thing is, when you are a player, many of these players, you have to understand that one of the strongest suits as a player, when basically there's competition, only one team can win. Delusion is one of your strongest skills. You need to delude yourself into thinking you are the world best, no matter what the pundits say, no matter what the analysts say, no matter the odds that are stacked against you. So I kid you not, there must be teams here that we think like, oh, they're the 10th best team here. They're like, no, we're the best. You just don't know it yet. And it may take some time. I mean, a master has failed more times than an amateur has even tried. So is this their breakthrough? It could be.
Well, we'll have to see what Imperium Pro Team can do versus EStar. We're going to get that set up, and we'll be back after a very short commercial break.
Systems online. Commence hero upgrade. Hero upgrade complete.
Hail to the Queen.
New battleground detected. New hero arrival.
The Queen of Blades. This should be fun. Don't worry, I'll make this quick.
Having fun yet?
Please, you had best be joking. Oh, you really don't seem to be up to this task, do you? Oops. I expected so much more.
Do you ever shut up?
Yes! Finally a challenge!
The Heroes of the Storm Fall Championship is sponsored in part by Intel, T-Mobile, NVIDIA, and Republic of Gamers.
Welcome back to day 2 of the Heroes of the Storm Fall Championship. I'm Solid Jake with Gillyweed, Dreadnought, and Grubby, and we are setting up for our very first match of the day. We actually had the opportunity to sit down with some of the teams and hear their thoughts of the competition. Let's take a look.
Seeing EStar have to come together with people who haven't been playing together for very long at all gives Imperium a great advantage.
They're not really complete, so we'll try to make that as an advantage for us.
So we're just gonna play what we are comfortable with and go for the win.
At the same time, they won't know what to expect from EStar.
应该还是很有实力的，我们应该就是谨慎对待。我觉得我们只要正常打出自己来的实力的话，应该是可以赢他们。
So there are advantages and disadvantages to that matchup.
A lot of confidence there, Gillyweed.
Yeah, they did have a lot of confidence. I maybe think that it's a little bit of what Grubby was talking about in trying to pump yourself up, because this is EStar we're talking about. Xingchen, Tiger, Toomey. Although Toomey was taking a break, they are such strong players, and adding in 2 great ones from SPT as well has made them so incredible from what we're hearing, of course.
So overall, are there any playmakers you guys have your eyes on for this matchup?
I think the one person that you can't ignore is going to be Xingchen. We actually, even talking to MVP Black, we asked them who are some of the players they respect the most, and Sign said it was Xingchen, and it was because he thought he was the best range assassin at dealing with warriors, so it's always a challenge for him to go up against him as a player.
One of the things I'm also looking at for this match in particular is the supports, which is not something you always say. But we've got on the Imperium Pro team Mur, who had great consistency and timings with his abilities in their regional. And on the other side, you can't ignore Tiger. I love to call him Tiger the Tank, one of the most aggressive support players, right, Grubby?
Yeah, I mean, we were both excited about his talent builds last year. We asked him about your Uther play. He took block, amplified healing, really joined battle as a support, normally really hanging to the back, and starting to do some serious damage. So we asked Tiger, can we expect more dastardly support play coming out from you? And he said, yes, definitely. He's got a high damage ratio. He's going to bring out new builds, he said. I don't know if that's just for impressing or just a mission statement here, but I'm pretty excited to see the support play from EStar there.
Well, guys, we will be starting out this battle on the map Towers of Doom. Grubby, why don't you guide us through this battleground?
Yeah, I got this new toy. Let's see if I can show you guys correctly. Now, in Heroes of the Storm, the objective is always the same. Destroy one of the opponent's cores. So the 2 cores are here. However, Towers of Doom is an untraditional battleground. You cannot directly access this area. There's this kill zone here. You cannot pass it. If you try, you will get ejected. So you've got to find another approach. Luckily, there are the altars. Channel an altar and you will shoot several cannonballs at the opponent. Look out for these areas. These 4 areas are the ones where you can capture an altar. You'll be contesting your opponent over them. The most dangerous one of all are these 2. These 2. Those are the ones that are very easily defended by the defending team. So look for a lot of contention around those areas. If you can play the map right and you use all the various means of shooting cannonballs at the opponent, you will cannonade the opponent's core to nothing.
Cannonade, that is a beautiful word, Grubby. I'm going to use that as often as I can. Well, guys, we are actually ready to begin the draft for game number 1, so let's just hop on into it. Game 1 between EStar Gaming and Imperium on Towers of Doom.
So already, it's Towers of Doom, things that we have to look out for. It's probably one of the better maps when it comes to the Lost Vikings. Granted, that's not necessarily a standard pickup. Also, globals they're always important on big maps, but as you brought up, those upper 2 to be able to defend, to send a global up there, and then teleport to the bottom 1 to try and take a fight for the team, I think is something we will see prioritization on this draft. Zarya and then Malfurion ban, we've seen that almost every single game, the Malf ban specifically, so far into the tournament.
Zarya and Malfurion recently got a small down tuning where they became slightly less powerful, but apparently the players are not convinced that they are somehow to be permitted to go through the draft too easily. We've seen a lot of prioritization on them, a lot of picking and banning of Malfurion in particular.
I think we will very likely see Imperium get ETC here. Stronger was the support player for Renovatio and then switched over to Warrior, and as such I feel he is one of the players who is most bound by comfort picks, but ETC is very good for them, and as we see them pick that up, they like to play really aggressively, but they're leaving their Warrior till later, so they might have some sort of different strategy up their sleeve or feel like it's not going to get banned away from them.
With Imperium going for Brightwing with a lot of global presence and then a lot of burst on Li Ming, especially now that we see Zeratul, these are all like, you know, in a lot of ways, okay. I was going to say Vikings, but guess not.
All right, this draft just took a turn for the different, where EStar is saying, we're not going to approach this match passively. We're not going to kind of feel out the opponent. Zeratul and Abathur brings a huge amount of kill pressure. If you can copy Zeratul at level 10, you get some massive DPS burst, and EStar is looking to take control of this game by level 10 or earlier.
It's just such a scary roaming threat that's very difficult to keep tabs on.
And when the Super League Grand Finals, when we saw MVP Black going for something like Brightwing, Li Ming, and Muradin, and they've got 2 of the 3 here, the response was Zeratul from their opponents. And so once again, we're seeing Zeratul be pretty effective versus the Brightwing and Li Ming.
That Tassadar ban is all according to that Zeratul and Abathur pickup, showing that they don't want the Oracle to be able to reveal them so they can still get the dive on the backline. But what that did is, the exact rotation we see from Imperium Pro Team now is the ETC Tychus. That's some of the highest pairing and prioritized heroes we've seen the entire tournament. I expected one of those to be removed, but with that not being the case, now they have really dominant picks and also the potential to move into a double global. So right now, this draft, EStar is really taking their own flavor and approach to it.
And speaking of their own flavor, Tiger with Uther is going to be back again. Now, Uther doesn't have block anymore, I believe. He's been reworked a little bit, but he's got Holy Fire at level 7. Let's see if we see some burning Uther play coming out of EStar or just more the classical support. But this is a different draft. EStar is running their own meta game. The Jaina, we did see that once yesterday where you can copy Jaina, but this is Void Prison and Ring of Frost in a box.
Yes, that is the amount of kill potential that combo has. Dignitas in their regional specifically ran it very, very effectively. You just Void, hit a large ring onto somebody with the triple Blizzard coming to play. That damage is really, really high, and Brightwing has really no massive burst heal to be able to complement that. But there is a really beautiful thing, is that Brightwing has the opportunity to move into Peekaboo, which will help with the Zeratul, and then if she ends up polymorphing Zeratul or the Jaina while the combo is coming into play, it makes it far more difficult, or even a Chen Barrow. There are a lot of things. Focus on the CC on one of those 2 targets, and they could dismantle EStar's draft.
Yeah, somebody has to be on Jaina duty following up the Void Prison, which means that Imperium needs to not group up and needs to constantly be on the watch for where Zeratul is going to be flanking from. And it will be Toomey on that Zeratul, so he is the player who will be swapping to more of a melee assassin flex role for this team.
This has to be one of the fastest drafts we've had all tournament, and one of the odder drafts we've had all tournament, to see that quick prioritization of Zeratul. Not a lot of that so far, still a very powerful hero. And the Ring of Frost VP, I mean, again, that's just such a powerful combo that they have in their arsenal. It's going to be a lot of fun to see EStar pull this off.
Yeah, it's a high execution comp where the skill requirements are fairly high. You need to really coordinate everything well, including the ultimate evolution timings and the usage of the other heroics. But EStar, I do think they have the skill to pull it off fairly well.
Am I the only one who finds it interesting that the team who's had a week to play together chooses one of the most synergistic compositions, like in terms of, you know, working together out of almost any team in this tournament so far?
You are the only one.
It seems strange. It seems strange that that is the route that they move into right out the gates. We need perfect synergy to do this efficiently. They've been together for a week. I'm not saying they can't do it, because obviously they have some very, very skilled players on that roster, but it just seems... It seems almost poetic at this point.
I mean, you think about the cost of, you know, throwing out something like Ring of Frost. If the Void Prison is held up 1 second too long, you've just wasted 2 heroic abilities, essentially.
Yes.
And that just can lose a game. We've seen it happen in the past.
Now, I think we see Stage Dive coming out here. We've got Brightwing with the Global, so we have a number of heroes who can kind of lag coming to the objective and to kind of stop the Abathur pushes. But one thing that also worries me, Brightwing as kind of a medium effectiveness support with a lot of other utility, we've got Abathur here. Toxic nests everywhere, and two characters who cannot heal themselves, Tychus and Li Ming. So if they ever step into a toxic nest, that could really, it reveals them, it damages them, they are not full life when they arrive, and that could be easy pickings for the hyena that is Zeratul with that Abathur symbiote hat.
I just imagine a hyena skin where he cackles at you every time he kills you. That sounds utterly terrifying, actually.
And then one thing to point out here too is we know that Zayce is going to be on the Li Ming, and he is without a doubt, like when it comes to his KDA and everything, just significantly better than any of the damage dealers on his team, and NSJ is going to be the one who's been struggling in the past. And so since Li Ming is the prime target for this Zeratul Abathur dive composition, it makes me a bit afraid. It's either going to be Zayce ends up pulling out a miracle, he ends up surviving the situation and carrying the team, or it's just their main carry, the Li Ming, is just going to be removed instantly, and I feel like these team fights are just going to be terrifyingly lopsided.
Yeah, my issue with that too is Zayce and Stronger, a lot of times, how they will execute their team fights is they'll sit up in front and kind of pull into skirmishes. That is not going to happen versus EStar.
Yeah.
EStar will be, well, I'm guessing, well coordinated, especially since they know they need to be with such a composition.
And in theory, Uther can even cleanse or Divine Shield the Jaina to make sure that whatever countermeasures are attempted after the Void Prison lands isn't going to happen. Polymorph will not be possible. Even Wandering Keg will be shrugged off. And if Tiger is on point with his timing, then that is going to be spectacular to behold.
But Toomey is oftentimes going to want to use that Void Prison aggressively to set up those combos for the Ring of Frost. And in the event that we see something like Stage Dive or the Storm, Earth, and Fire for Chen really diving, going for Jaina, she doesn't have Sprint anymore. She doesn't have Ice Block to level 20. She is a bit vulnerable. And expending something like Divine Shield early in a fight, I think that's the big key here for Imperium and when it comes to trying to get on the offensive side, because Jaina, she is quite immobile.
Well, Divine Shield gives some mobility. You can also get mobility from Abathur too, so there are some things that they could do, but Abathur mobility is very late at level 16.
Yeah.
Got to be executing it before then.
I have this sense of where the two warriors would just love nothing more than to go for Jaina. But because they brought their little brother to the fight, like they have to be more careful of the backline, which don't have a get out of jail for free card in Brightwing. Shield Dust comes out, Blink Heal, it doesn't really save them from huge amounts of burst at that very moment. So it's going to be difficult to see whether the warriors are actually going to be able to go for Jaina or whether they will be on full chaperoning duty.
One thing that is a good selling point for Imperium Pro team in their composition is, again, Brightwing being able to scout out for the team. And then it's also the situation to where the Zeratul onto the backline, if it is a very appropriate poly onto him, Tychus and Li Ming have an absurd amount of burst damage that they can turn into him. And they also have really good poke when it comes to the shrines on themselves. Uther's one of the weaker supports when it comes against that, because especially if she ends up getting a reset here. So EStar's comp post 10 is absolutely terrifying, but Imperium, they have an opportunity here. I don't think it's by any means just watch EStar throw out the combo and win the game.
Well, we've got Li Ming here, so we can talk about just how prominent she's been in the meta for an extended period of time ever since they introduced her to the game. Not only is her kit, explosive, but she gets those resets, and she's a true carry, right? She can really just run through the fight one after another. We've seen a lot of Wave of Force in this tournament in varying situations. Not sure if we'll see it here. Right now, Disintegration Beam could be quite useful as well.
I think it'll maybe be Wave of Force if Li Ming is the one stuck out. If she can be the one to Wave of Force Jaina away, just buy time, or even Zeratul if she can spot him out. Buy time for the team to set up so that they don't get wrecked by the Wombo.
I think one thing to consider too that people kind of neglect when choosing what heroic they want onto Li Ming is Disintegrate versus the Wave of Force. Disintegrate makes you stand still, and that against this type of composition makes you a free target most of the time. At the same time, you can use it as a radar to find the Zeratul. You can do the 360. It will 100% be able to reveal him. So it's a situational, but most of the time I enjoy the CC again to avoid that combo whenever possible.
Say goodbye to our monitors, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
See you soon. I'll see you during the observing of the game, okay? Thanks.
This desk is actually ridiculous. It's like nicer than my car.
What about the set?
Everything about
The
it.
lighting? Oh my gosh, I can't even.
So let's see what's at stake here. EStar, Imperium are in this group, and they are also against Fnatic and the Please Buff Arthur's team. Now for EStars, there isn't really much at stake. Like if they lose this, in theory, you would expect them to still advance since they're the top favorite. but then you do have a very strong Fnatic in the team and kind of the dark horse, please buff Arthur. So I also think that even losing one game here, the fact that they are a new lineup, okay, it's always easy to be in good spirits when you're winning, when you're practicing, when you're traveling to a tournament together. Shared experiences gives good team mentality, but you truly see what a team is made of once you're down and out. Once you get punched down to the floor once, how easily can you get up? Do you have that rapport together? So if EStar loses one game, I don't know if they will hold up their spirits.
Yeah, I kind of felt like maybe EStar struggled not only not having Toomey in Gold League, but also because Xiao T left and he was that rock for the team.
Alrighty, guys. Well, we are ready to begin game number 1, so let's jump right on into it. Take it away, Dreadnought and Grubby.
Yeah, we have the Towers of Doom here. Imperium Pro Team versus EStar's Southeast Asia versus China. And here a raid on the left side. In the blue, we've got EStar's with Misaka, Xian Xiao, Tiger, Toomey, and Xing Chen. They're going to be playing Murden, Abathur, Uther, Zeratul, and Jaina, respectively.
And on the red side, we are going to have Imperium Pro Team. Harhar is going to be on Chen. Mir is going to be playing right wing. Tyke is played by NSJ. Stronger is going to be on the ETC. And the carry, Li Ming, will be played by Zayce. So here we go. We're going to get into it. Towers of Doom, one of the most unique maps when it comes to Heroes of the Storm and how it's going to be played out. As Grubby, you pointed out earlier, it's all about those altars.
Exactly. There's 3 ways to assault the opponent's core. It's either getting mercenary camps who will walk into the kill zone and explode on the core, getting the boss, or getting the towers. Now hold that thought. Stronger goes down immediately as the Abathur-empowered composition of EStar here gets a takedown. But Misaka is in trouble and he'll go down as well. 25 seconds and double takedown.
And that's going to be a 1-for-1 trade here. And when looking at the region of China and their playstyle overall, it's very much that aggression whenever possible. Grouping up as a 5-man. Not surprising to see that first blood goes down in the first couple of seconds here. And I think that pace is going to keep up for the rest of this match.
It's funny that such a thing as regional styles even exist. Yeah. Like, you're playing the same game. Why are you playing different heroes? Why are you prioritizing differently? But you do see that, not just in this game, but in disciplines and sports all over the world. China, they have their own regional peculiarities. Sylvana's prioritization, for instance, has been very prevalent for China, even over other regions. And also just the playstyle. How aggressive are you? Well, China is very aggressive, and they do like going for those early kills. Now, nice space smelled by Stronger, stopping Misaka in his tracks. That's 2-1 for Imperium Pro Team.
But it looks like EStar is not going to back down. Tiger, the tank, moving in aggressively. He's going to get that Abathur hat. Great peel from Stronger with that power slide. Zeratul, though, Toomey's got something else to say. That is 2 going down, and Stronger looks like he's going to be in trouble as well. Bloodbath already in this match, Grubby.
Yeah, incredible Dreadnought. Toomey there with the rotation to the bottom, analyzing just in time that his teammates are going to need some help. Tiger was going in for the kill there with the Symbiote, but Toomey finally cleared up and made it a small win for his team. Now, those early kills actually matter a lot because it brings you just a little bit closer to level 4 when the altars are activating. That's going to happen in 15 seconds. By that time, we will actually have level 4 for both teams, so neither really behind in contesting this. Now, usually you'll see the teams delaying their own altar if it's being assaulted in the top right, top left, and then fighting over the middle bottom one. And the one that can get 2 altars here really has quite a big advantage. So you see that those 2 are being capped, and now everyone will be rotating to the bottom. And Abathur will be getting experience in some lane during all of that.
Keep in mind, Brightwing, now that she is level 4, has picked up the peekaboo, so look for that onto her teleport to reveal the very aggressive Zeratul here. But great job from Imperium Pro Team, dancing around, getting a reasonable amount of poke. This is what I was talking about in the draft. Their comp does excel at this, and a lot of it comes down to Zayce on that Li Ming. And as we go down for the first shrine phase, actually heavy aggression here. They do end up getting 2 shrines for Imperium Pro Team, and see if they're going to be able to pick up a kill. Not going to be the case. Oh, as I say that, end up getting 1 pick here. So already a pretty aggressive lead already for Imperium Pro Team.
Yep, they got the cannonballs. They are now 36 HP on their core versus 32. Each cannon shot, each volley is worth 4 shots so long as you control your own 3 forts. Now, these forts that you see on the battleground, 3 on the left, 3 on the right, they are also a nice takedown there on Murden. He tried to scout there, but that's still 4 members of Imperium Pro Team. But you can capture the opponent's fort. Unlike on other battlegrounds, if you destroy one of the forts, you will it will regenerate and fight for your side. So it is very much a zone control kind of battleground. And for every fort that you have, you shoot in extra cannonball at the core when you capture the altar. So map control becomes very important in that sense, even though you cannot directly assault the core.
And it should be noted that because EStar's composition thrives off their level 10 synergy, the fact that they're still even when it comes to experience, thanks to that Abathur, puts them in a pretty good position. As long as you aren't behind when it comes to experience in the matchup, it allows you to still take those fights at the later shrines. 4 shots this early is not that bad because it's when those death timers get very, very long where you can capture multiple bell towers, multiple sapphires, and then get a lot of value out of those altars. The shots suddenly go from, oh, you know, 4 here and there to suddenly you can get 20 in a really strong rotation. So they're in a fine position, even though they have seemed to be behind this early in the game.
But I'm impressed so far with Imperium Pro Team. They are not pulling their blows. They're being aggressive. They're rotating well.
Yeah, they are doing a very good job. And as we say that, we have the next Shrine phase coming up here, and it's only going to be 2. So we'll see who ends up. Usually it's whatever team gets the momentum during that first one and will then try and all in their opponents on the next one.
Yeah, but I think sometimes it's just, well, like good counsel to take your own and not fight over the opponents. Yep. Many glorious campaigns ended in tears as a team got greedy, got their own, and then wanted the other side as well. So let's see how the teams are going to approach this. Brightwing for Imperium Pro Team is going to start to capture this. Zeratul is going to try and come cloaked and have Abathur's stab interrupt her. And she's fighting herself all alone.
Yeah, that's not what you want to have happen. She's going to not even get the teleport out. Master Warblade will get a proc, so we end up losing the Brightwing here as Tiger's able to get the free channel. He will confirm the shots for his team, and they're down Brightwing still. 10 more seconds. We'll see if Imperium Pro Team's going to be able to delay, but Toomey's got something else to say about that. He loses his life, and they're just going at it here.
Yeah, that's a 1 for 2. That's a win no matter what, even if EStar doesn't end up capturing this fort, this altar.
Yeah, and the polymorph, or excuse me, the teleport coming in from the Brightwing, barely being able to keep Stronger up as a really synergistic power slide coming out from him. So far, the teams are doing very, very well in this matchup.
Yeah, the Zeratul there, the Toomey, taking the Master Warblade is kind of unusual. You get that bonus proc of damage on your 3rd auto attack against the same target. Almost everyone these days is going for Vorpal Blade, allowing you to teleport once again to a target you've attacked recently. But Toomey is going for the full auto attack damage at 4 and 7, giving him really good dueling potential. And when you add Abathur's effect on him, he is a force to be reckoned with. And that was well played by EStars. Yes, they both got 4 cannonballs, but that is an experience equality for EStars, who is just starting to fall behind a little bit.
Yeah, they are doing a very good job, and now the team seem to be backing out, worrying about the saplings, getting pressure onto the map. 10 is now picked up for Imperium Pro Team. Even with the skirmish on mid, it looks like they weren't going to be the aggressors, even with that power spike, and now we see it coming out that EStar will be able to pick up their level 10s, and Jaina's yet to pick hers. She's holding on to it here. I still think it's going to be a Ring of Frost against that very short-range composition, but we'll see if she ends up making adjustments and going with the water element.
Yeah, it is Ring of Frost indeed, well predicted. Now Brightwing actually getting away from Zeratul at the top, but she... Mosh pit on single Uther, they do get him, so not bad. Now Uther's Spirit is going to heal up Jaina. She's going to need it. She's taking lots of damage there from Zay's. Nice shot. This is a bloodbath. 2 down a piece here. Toomey goes down as well. Well played here, but well, he's not down yet, but there we go.
Yeah, and he's going to be trapped in that corner. That was such great response from Imperium Pro Team right after that a little bit of a pick happened. They were willing to get that single mosh pit, and usually getting a single mosh pit onto the Murden is not necessarily your best train of thought. The Uther, excuse me, is not necessarily the best idea. You want to get at least 2 to 3, but he was so isolated from his team. Zays was at a really good position to be able to get the damage out, and it put them into a spot where they could get 1 reset and just snowball that fight as Jaina panicked to try and save him.
Yeah, and then Jaina became the target, so very nicely done by Imperium Pro Team. Brightwing is getting mercilessly hunted by Zeratul. Has gone for the blink heal, which she can get away with.
Yeah, and now they are fighting over the shrine. That was really good poke coming out from NSJ on that Tyche. This is why it's such a high priority hero here in this tournament. They're going to start the double channel. This is going to be difficult for EStar to get the delay. They end up getting on Brightwing, but not onto Stronger. That's going to be 4 more shots here. Clone will be falling, but right now Imperium Pro Team they are even in experience thanks to Abathur for EStar, but they are dominating this matchup. They're getting a lot of the shots. They're confirming a majority of the kills in this game. And that's even post-10, which is where EStar's synergistic comp really seems to thrive.
Yeah, and I think there's a huge power spike at level 13 for Imperium Pro Team, where Brightwing gets shield dust. 40% magic block is going to be great against Jaina, who's pretty much 95% spell damage and almost no auto attack damage. That is going to give Brightwing a kind of burst protection that she needs. It won't help with Zeratul attacking her. No, look at this! Xingchen is getting caught. Polymorph power slide. Nice timing. And great job there by Imperium Pro Team. They are impressing here, the upstart from Southeast Asia. It's their third showing at an offline event, including a global championship as well. But they're doing pretty good here against what some consider is a top 4 favorite of this tournament, EStars. Now, they are ahead 8 cannonballs. It doesn't give you any significant advantage to be ahead in cannonballs. It's just you're closer to closing out the victory. But you need to keep winning. That's the thing about this map. There's a huge comeback potential.
Yeah, there is huge comeback potential. I very much agree. And it's just amazing to see how effective Imperium Pro Team has been on this map. They are never letting go. And more than anything, just their coordination. That's about the 3rd time we've seen a perfectly timed Brightwing teleport directly into a power slide. She gets the follow-up directly after that to just allow... Nobody can really do anything on the side of EStar. Granted, this next Shrine phase is going to be very huge for them. As I say that, in the mid lane, Brightwing will get the teleport. That Storm, Earth, and Fire is going to be popped. She brings heals out.
Well done.
Really great slow. Good cleanse from Tiger onto him. Divine Shield coming out as well to try and peel off the Jaina. But that was a lot of resources used here for EStar just to get out of a situation where they thought they were choosing the upper fight.
Yeah, they were going for Chen. He was dropping to half-life, and I was a bit worried for Brightwing as he teleported in there. But I wonder if he calculated that the minion wave was coming close enough and he was able to blink heal away. Imperium Pro Team has taken control of this area. They're starting to cap. It's halfway there. And China cannot get near. EStars will be zoned out of this effectively thanks to the separate camp that they took with such perfect timing. Thanks to that fight. Now, the first Void Prison in the game here.
The mosh pit tried to stop it. The combo ends up hitting too, but Jaina's getting ripped apart by Zay's.
Double laser action here from Zay's and the Draken laser drill as well. Amazing defense there, Imperium Pro Team, to defend that Void Prison Ring of Frost combination.
Yeah, they just absolutely obliterated it. And we talked about in the draft that the concentration onto one of those two after the Void Prison comes down to try and stop that combo from coming into the play. It still hit, but you saw Stronger. He was very much concerned about how do I stop the Jaina from allowing this to happen. And so again, Imperium Pro Team is just, I mean, they are playing very, very well here. I'm very impressed with everything they put up into what, again, a lot of people were hyping up EStar. I personally, looking at China as a region, it felt like their plays deteriorated, but everybody was like, no, China is actually performing so well in these scrims. So I can't tell if this is Imperium Pro Team is just a god among men right now, if they're the next MVP Black, or if China is just not necessarily performing as well as they were in the scrims here.
Well, honestly, speaking about Imperium Pro Team, I judge a team often by how smooth their movements around the map look.
I agree.
Like, how many pauses do you have? How many false starts in a direction and then changing direction? I see a beautiful synchrony, a melody of the way that they play and they move around. And that pretty much breathes a kind of, I don't know, a comfort, don't you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree. That is a great way to put it. It's just, it almost is a dance, I feel like, with the team where everybody, it's the coordination coming out from them. I mean, as simple as the power slide into the teleport, it's never going to be mistimed from this team so far. And they are just not letting go at any point. Now zoning off of the 3 saplings here, they might be able to delay. Jaina's very good at stopping this, though, with her Blizzard. She ends up proccing it, but nobody's going up to wear it. The saplings moving in there. Pretty big misplay on the side of EStar.
I mean, they felt they didn't have what it takes to actually take a fight here. They are against Chen and ETC, who can go into that kill zone for a while and can survive for a few seconds. So anytime they would overextend, that could be a collapse by Imperium Pro Team, 5 versus 3. So a lot of respect being given here to Imperium Pro Team, and they shoot another 3 cannonballs at the core. Now in the top altar. Oh, one of the bigger mistakes so far by Imperium Pro Team. I was starting to think they were God among men, like you were referencing. So that is going to be double altar shots for EStar.
Yeah, and now as you say that, the great Storm Bolt onto Stronger, he's going to power slide out of the situation. What we saw there from Imperium Pro Team and EStar is because they have the Abathur and they also have the Global on the side of Imperium Pro Team, is a common strategy is they're afraid to leave their Global by themselves because in case that 1v1 gets in an upper hand for the opponents, they really want to make sure that they end up having somebody up there to back it out. And because of that, Brightwing had the, Li Ming.
Hold that thought, they're going for the boss steal here. EStar's captured it. We see the face melt attempt here, but the Void Prison will zone everyone out. ETC will go down, and Brightwing is the next target. There comes the heavy impact and the Uther stun party. Brightwing goes down!
Oh, that Divine Shield at the very last second, but he is in such a bad position. Li Ming is going to end up throwing out her combo, but it's not going to matter. That was an absurdly ambitious attempt there with Chen already back at the base and knowing the Brightwing's coming into play without Emerald Wind. If that was the case, it would have been a little bit more understandable, but that was such weird aggression coming up from Imperium Pro Team, possibly after losing a bit of momentum, a little bit panicked here.
Yeah, and we also have ETC not having that encore, the double face melt on location, which would allow him to push off EStar's twice. So a very ballsy attempt here that did go down under, and EStar's is kind of starting to assert themselves here and say that, okay, we are down, but we are not out. Now here's that replay here. Chen, as you can see, is still down. We see Tychus arriving late, and of course that Void Prison, which isolates Stronger by himself. Well done by EStars. They handled the situation well and got several takedowns out of that. So pretty big comeback move there by EStar, who are now in a level lead.
Yeah, I can't help but criticize Imperium Pro Team for that decision, not only because it was a 4 vs 5, that's not always unrealistic, but when facing such a good anti-boss team with Void, with Ring, it is very difficult to play into that, and they were still willing to take that risk, but now they're down a level. They still have a shot advantage as 2 shrines are spawning. It's going to be a 3-2 split for both these teams, but hold that thought. Dwarf Toss coming in, Mir in a bad spot, but Zaze is ripping them up, getting the reset, but Brightwing was deleted. Storm Earth and Fire is going to put them in hot pursuit onto EStar. 1-for-1 so far in this fight. Power Slide onto Tiger. Mosh Pit is going to end up hitting one. The Divine Shield, the cleanse with the Void Prism, such a mechanical play coming out from EStar, but they are not going to be able to turn this fight quite yet.
Yeah, everything was used in defense. It was amazing how he Divine Shielded himself to save him and then could save Muradin, so that keeps it at a 4 versus 4. Now, Abathur doesn't have Ultimate Evolution, so this is effectively 4 bodies versus 3, and we could be seeing Imperium Pro Team take 2 cannonballs, but hold that thought, Tychus goes down. Toomey, what are you doing here? Incredible play by EStars. They're going to be going for Chen as well.
They need a reset if they're going to stand a chance, but Li Ming is completely oomed. Toomey ends up getting the back out. Dwarf Toss with the stun. Misaka is in hot pursuit, but keep in mind, Zaze has no mana. Stronger trying to peel, but it is a lost cause, and speaking of that, he is going to be a lost cause in a matter of moments. Mir trying to save him. Tiger doesn't even care, confirming the channel. There comes the clone. Stronger's going down. No! What? But Mir is going to lose his life. That hits the bomb. And right now, 20 advantage in favor of EStar, and they are going to be able to confirm another shots. But keep in mind, they're going to be worried about this bell tower first, meaning that they're going to end up getting bonus shots out of this channel. No, Tiger's going to get... this is a misplay.
I think this is an attempted capture, just in case. Like, you can always take an option on it, channel it for 80%, cancel, until you realize, like, oh, everything just went wrong, I'll just capture it, or indeed, I'll delay it until you get those 5 shots. So, a very unfortunate... actually series of moves by Imperium where they lose member after member after they are down in level. They did lose their Brightwing, and then they committed all the way, and now they are down in both level and cannonballs, and EStars is doing a fantastic job getting back into this game. Their late game composition now with Abathur and Hivemind is proving to be extremely powerful.
One of the most amazing things about EStar in this composition is that they are yet to really capitalize on the pairing of heroics with the Void Prism, with the Ring of Frost. It's just been Zeratul destroying everyone. Toomey, keep in mind, played Warrior during the Gold League, so the fact that he is on that flex roll and having such a I mean, outstanding performance here in this matchup. Single-handedly, in my opinion, carrying his team with that Abathur hat is just very impressive. But now they're going to try to get these 3 sappers in. We'll see if somebody tries to get the body block. Stronger is moving up, but he could take a lot of damage for this. Does end up propping the knockback, but 3 shots are going into the core. And now EStar has such control over this matchup. We see that Imperium Pro Team is just hoping to be able to get that 20. When that is the case, they might be able to turn it around. It's still anyone's game, but ever since that one call, it seems like EStar has done exactly what Imperium Pro Team did for the first 10 minutes of this match.
Yep, and that's pretty much where experience shows, where the high level of play shows. It's often in the not making of mistakes, especially in the mid to late game, because every game ends at the end. So if you don't make any mistakes at the end and you're still alive in the game, well, you're going to eventually come out on top. And Imperium just made a few more, but let's see. They have now once again reached level 20. It's only one altar at stake here, so that's 5 cannonballs for EStar or 3 for Imperium, but it's the fight that matters, because you can get a lot of advantage after this. Now Brightwing goes to 70% from Tumi's attack and will not be full life at the next rotation. There he comes again.
The mosh pit ends up tried to be used there in this situation. Void Prison comes out as well. Xing Chen is trying to run away from the Storm, Earth, and Fire, but ETC is going to be dead. A 1-for-nothing trade. Now we do see the blink. Zaze needs to be able to get a reset if he's going to save this fight for his team. Misaka is just eating that laser, not caring. Hard is so annoying in the front, but Tumi is still in the back. Keep in mind, he's re-stealthing in the upper right-hand corner. He's going to be moving in. Zaze needs to stay next to his Brightwing. You see them sticking together because that polymorph has to be instant. They spot him out because of the Abathur hat. This is such a tense moment for these teams. If this goes in favor of EStar, this could be it for Imperium Pro Team. As I say that, Zaze under a lot of pressure using the wormhole to withdraw, and Tumi's going to get a re-stealth. And guess what? We do see EStar gets those 5 shots, and now that is a 3-shot core for Imperium Pro Team.
Yeah, this could end pretty much any way whatsoever. Chen goes down as well, right as ETC is about to be back. So that is going to be a huge advantage for EStar. Now, there's 3 ways to end this game. They can get the Headless Horseman in the middle top. They can run in one of these sapper camps, as both teams have done once, or they can capture the 2 remaining forts and start shelling 1 cannonball per every 7 or so seconds at the opponent's core. But hold that thought, what are these 2 members of Imperium Pro Team doing in the middle here? They are outnumbered, they are not consolidating their forces in defensive location, and they lose ETC. The Warriors are taking turns to be in the body banks, and this is a very crucial, fatal, and deadly and painful mistake. Now, these sappers are going to win the game by themselves if no one comes here to defend it.
Imperium can't tank those. I don't think that's too much damage. He has to walk away. They're going to lose the game off these shots. He's trying to dodge them as long as he can. He is buying really good time, so he will be successful dodging long enough, but his entire team is up top. While that is said, Zaze already is getting picked off here by Tumi, by Tumi. He's just outperforming everybody here, and those shots on bottom Void Prison, he doesn't even need to hit anybody. As long as he doesn't move in and stop the boss, it's game.
Did you see that laser? It was Void Prison before it was built. It was like 1 Lego piece of Dragon Laser Drill, and it got Void Prison away. But that's going to be it. The final shots as the Headless Horseman laughs his way to the victory of EStar. They have turned this game around. Well done by them, but a very impressive showing by Imperium Pro Team as well. 1-0 for EStar.
Yeah, EStar looked like they had no chance at the beginning of that game, and all it came down to was 1 really solid pickoff on the side of Tumi with that Abathur hat, and then they never let go. They got the boss there, and Imperium Pro Team definitely seemed to be a bit panicked after having such control, and then once losing that, they were like, what do we do, what do we do, what do we do? And I think a lot of that came down to Stronger. He seemed on the back half of that game he was the one who decided to try and stop the boss. He was the one who got caught out in the mid game, or excuse me, the mid to late game, and I hope to see that change because I was impressed with him for the first half of that match.
I mean, this is the perfect example of momentum. I mean, Imperium was really controlling every element of the game. They were taking the fights left and right, controlling the altars, but about 14 minutes in, that's when we saw the Chen pick off and then the boss fight. And Gilly, I know you were back, checking everything out. What were your favorite moments?
Well, I was very impressed with Imperium as well. I have a couple of highlights to show. The early game where they were ahead, and then into the later game where EStar started to take control. So let's first go into the first one. We're going to see how great Imperium did in the early game as we start to play. Now what's going to happen here is You see Mur coming in. He is trying to phase shift into Stronger to stay alive, and I have to shout him out. He was doing a great job with a lot of those phase shifts in for safety. Unfortunately, it doesn't save him, but what we'll see from Stronger right here is that he has a zoning Mosh that is quite good at buying his team time to rotate in from the top, Chen and Tychus, to start getting the kills, which is what they needed to do. And I'll start to play this through. Mur is going to go down. Stronger immediately jumps in, punishes Tiger for being over-aggressive, and lets Tychus and Chen come in. This gives a kill, no Divine Shield, and also a reset for Zace, who's able to take out Xing Chen. And that was imperative that they were able to stop out, even forcing a defensive Void Prison, so making those heroic abilities used defensively instead of getting the combos off that they would have liked. So it was a good start for Imperium for sure.
It was a slugfest at the start, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And then when we look at the next fight, things started to go wrong for Imperium. This is the boss deal. And one thing I want to highlight as we start, again, the phase shifts at the start of the fight. My circles are terrible, but you get the point. Mur is coming in, and he wants to help Stronger, but normally when you see a Brightwing phase shift onto a boss point, you're expecting to have Emerald Wind to push everybody away. There is no Emerald Wind here. It is Blink Heal, so there's going to be no pushing. We've got Tychus and, well, Tychus a little bit far out still, and importantly, Chen was dead here, so this was some over-aggression trying to go and steal this boss. Panicked, as Dread was talking about. I'm going to play this out. Stronger gets taken out, even Shrink Raid. Mur comes in, making him vulnerable to a Void Prison. And even though Toomey took a lot of damage, there is a second Zeratul waiting in the wings. That is Xianxiao with the clone. And we'll play that through. Brightwing is going to get taken down, and that will be the end of Imperium Pro Team there.
I think Imperium Pro Team needed the wisdom not to contest this. They were ahead 8 cannonballs on the court. They would have still been ahead 4 cannonballs, and I think they just needed the wisdom and the judgment to be patient, and I think they lacked that a little bit.
I can't help but feel like part of that would be like you're going against EStar and you'll be like, you know, we're one of the underdogs here. Our mentality should be rather healthy even when we end up losing, but because they were so controlling in the first half, it seemed to be overly tilted at the back half of that game. Like you could tell it was just almost raw panic because they felt we have a chance here, and then it was like, and everything is just falling apart.
It felt to me too like it could have been an instance where they were ahead and continued to feel like they were ahead almost. So a bit of tilt, like, oh my gosh, this might be getting thrown away from us. But also, we had this lead. We should still be ahead. We should still be making these plays like we're ahead. And you see that from a lot of teams.
Well, Imperium Pro Gaming, they are down in the first game of this series, but they can turn it around. We're going to go to a quick commercial break and see if they can take game number 2.
This is Heroes of the Storm.
Of the Storm.
The Storm.
Heroes of the Storm. The Heroes of the Storm Fall Championship is sponsored in part by Intel, T-Mobile, NVIDIA, and Republic of Gamers.
Another round?
The Heroes of the Storm Fall Championship is sponsored in part by Intel, T-Mobile, NVIDIA, and Republic of Gamers.
We are back here with the Heroes of the Storm Fall Championship going into game number 2. I'm Solid Jake. We've got Gilly, Dread, and Grubby, and that first game was quite intense.
I think EStar wasn't expecting how intense it would be, but for Imperium, I hope that they won't take it too much to heart and try to bring it again in this next game.
I think as long as their mentality remains as it was at the beginning half the map and be willing to give up things in the later, if you are behind, is really what's going to set them ahead in this next game.
Well, going into the next game, we're going to Infernal Shrines. Grubby, why don't you explain a little bit about this battleground?
This battleground is more traditional, Jake. The objective is the same as always. Destroy the other team's core. Now, on this battleground, you can directly assault it, and you can do so through one of the 3 lanes. Now, this battleground has the special objective where you can kill up to 40 skeletal defenders in these 3 areas. Where it's going to spawn is usually fairly random. Capture that, you will spawn a powerful Punisher who will push alongside with you in the lane to go straight to the enemy core once you destroy the forts and the keeps. That is the objective of this game, and that is where we're going to see the second game of EStar and Imperium Pro Team.
We've seen a fair bit of Infernal Shrines this weekend, and I'm curious if we're going to see more Kerrigan bans, more first pick Kerrigans. Will we see All-Right come into play? I'm not too sure what to expect out of these teams.
Yeah, I think it breeds itself to having those good aggressive plays because it is one where the Punisher jumps in and you can pull people towards your team and make plays off of the Punisher.
Sonya is another melee hero that we've seen a fair bit of on this battleground this weekend alone.
I think we'll see less of her as we move through the tournament. It is without a doubt probably her best map, but she is a very situational hero compared to when this map originally released. She was probably one of the top melee assassins.
All right, well, we are ready for the draft. We'll have to see how these teams want to approach the picks and the bans going into Infernal Shrines.
First ban this time is going to be going to Imperium Pro Team. Last time they removed Malfurion and then Vala. Malfurion is also powerful on this battleground, but a even greater prioritization goes to Kerrigan, who can use the skeletal defenders at the objective to hop around, gain life, and lose almost no mana while doing so. That is a very powerful hero that we barely see it made through on this battleground.
Once again, EStar's anonymity is paying off for them. Kerrigan is super strong, and if Imperium aren't comfortable with picking it, they have to ban her because they have no idea if EStar feels comfortable playing her.
That does leave Malfurion up on the table, and Imperium Pro Team doesn't even move into picking him up in the first rotation. Every other time Malf has been let through, he was first picked here. So the fact that he is still available, we'll see if EStar ends up wanting it as a response.
Again, a comfort pick for Stronger. They want to have ETC, they want to be able to make picks off of it, and this is a good battleground to do so.
Will that Malfurion be selected? Muradin also very prominent
as that warrior role, but we have seen a fair bit of heroes like Tyrael on these teams. They're going straight for Vala. I mean, she is phenomenal with that multi-shot for getting the last hit on the objective.
Yeah, she does a really good job compared to a lot of the top-tier heroes right now that are viable when it comes to Inferno Shrines, getting the clear onto the Skeletal Defenders. I don't really know where are they going to be concerned about the Murd, and I think that is my first thought when it comes to EStar. There have been in the past some more viable warriors on this map specifically than some of the other maps, but I still think Murden is such an outstanding hero that I'd like to see them prioritize it.
Would you like to see okay, I was thinking maybe go for Vala and Tychus. Is that a little bit too all-in on the range?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit too overcommitting. If you don't have a solid front line, then your back line doesn't matter.
It's also unusual for EStar in their regionals, which granted they're a few months ago. In the regional, EStars, almost without fail, will draft a single melee assassin every game. And if they don't, it's going to be Sonya, who's very much a bruiser, or Zul. So lots of melee assassins. We don't see one yet, and it can be pretty much anything. Illidan, Zeratul, so they keep that one as an ace in the sleeve for later in the draft.
I really do like that rotation coming out from Imperium Pro Team, getting the Rhaegar. We talked about how he complements the map objective, making everybody viable when it comes to clearing. And then also Tychus, such a strong hero overall, one of his better maps, great at stealing. Anytime somebody's going to stand there and try and clear, he gets a lot of value out of his passive. But Falstead was the ban for EStar.
Yeah, they are further restricting the available ranged assassins, probably going to be emphasizing those if they want to get another one after.
I think Falstad bans in particular are pretty funny because usually it's like, please don't disengage. We're going to attack you, we're going to come at you with everything we've got, and we don't want a reset of the fight positioning.
Yeah, and the fact that Malfurion was banned from Imperium Pro Team now does leave heroes that, supports that are really good on this map. We could see another Brightwing, but again, we talked about it yesterday. Ariel is pretty strong when it comes to this map specifically. Tassadar is picked up for EStar. He's so good when it comes to clearing. He complements that front line because you always have to be concerned, how strong is my front line on the actual shrine, or you're never going to be able to get those Skeletal Defenders. So he's a great pickup and has been for some time here.
This is looking a little bit like an Illidan draft to me for EStar. They have Tassadar, they can have one more support in the final location. They're not going up against huge threats to Illidan yet. For example, he'll be more scared going up against the Murden than an ETC.
Something that I have noticed is on battlegrounds like this, Ariel, you would like her because of her wave clear, but first pick teams have kind of been trying to gently nudge the second pick teams into that Ariel pick and then going for very aggressive compositions. And potentially we could still see Tyrande come out with Imperium Pro Team if they're just trying to get a blow-up comp. It's going to be Sonya instead of the potential Illidan.
And in a lot of situations, blow-up can be quite effective against Sonya. Yes, she does have Heroic Leap as an option or the Ancient Spear for getting away from things, but oftentimes we don't see Heroic Leap, and oftentimes Ancient Spear is used as the engage.
TAS will help against that if that's where Imperium wants to go with these final two picks.
I am surprised to see more TAS-Sonya pairing. I mean, their synergy and why they complement the map it makes a lot of sense, but I can't help but feel she is vulnerable in a lot of situations in teamfights. It's hard to make her respected when it comes to teamfights.
And there's already a Tychus on the other side.
Yeah.
Generally, when there's a Tychus, you'll see a team going for melee assassin. Yes, he hurts them as well, but he hurts warriors a little bit more by comparison. So it is, yeah, it's a bit more unusual. Gul'dan is going to come out for Imperium Pro Team. We see every region tasting the fel here that Gul'dan brings with his spells of corruption, and going to be joined by Arthas.
Arthas is a pretty interesting pickup. He provides shrine control as well. There are three heroes that are actually very, very good, and then Tychus is like half and half, I think, when it comes to the shrine. So they have insane control for Imperium, a reasonable amount of kill potential as well. I really do like a lot of what they have in their composition, and I can't really see any amazing outside of like a surprising pickup like a Zeratul or anything that can, you know, always stand a chance for EStar, and they end up going with the Ariel.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
The best of the rest who is still there. You don't get the cleanse, but you've got double support. I just want to reiterate once again how genius I think Arthas is. Sonya has 0 poke damage, so you know someone is going to move in on you. Great, because Arthas got no, I had to discard a few synonyms, has no mobility. So he can fight Sonya.
Yeah, and it's just, he's got a big presence with Army of the Dead. He's very hard to take down. It's sustaining through Sonya and Vala very, very feasible in his situation, and then the ancestral heal becomes very simple to line up on a hero like Arthas when he's constantly consuming all of those skeletons.
I love Imperium Pro Team's draft here. If we said this is generic team A, generic team B, I would say B has the far better draft, and I would vote on them to win 80% of the time. But EStars is more experienced, they make slightly fewer mistakes, and they seem slightly better mechanically, just for a bit. It was a close game last one, so I think it's actually fairly even between these two.
I would agree on every part of that sense. The one thing I am concerned about is that if Imperium Pro Team goes for the kill potential onto the Sonya in the front line and they fail to get it, if Tiger is playing out of his mind, I think a lot of this is going to come down to his Ariel play. And if he ends up countering this pre-10, stopping them between Tass and Ariel, and the momentum is going to heavily swing against Imperium Pro Team, and their comp doesn't necessarily enjoy, once they've committed their resources, those fights for at least 5 to 6 seconds, and Sonya has a heyday during that time.
One thing I'm excited about is the Vala pick, NSJ. Oh, that is actually Xing Chen playing Vala. I think that there are a lot of melee targets that she could be building up those hatred stacks against, but she'll have to be very cautious of where Arthas is and anybody who can throw out something to stop her too far forward.
Yeah, if a Howling Blast even clips her boot, she's going to be not too happy. You got to use that vault sparingly and be ready for it when the time comes. But both of these compositions, as you were mentioning, Grubby, it really does feel like, in the end, Imperium have the stronger draft when it boils down to it. Shrine control is quite effective with the way they've approached this. And if they are able to take a lot of early objectives in this map, do you think they can just ride that momentum forward, or will it be like Towers of Doom, where EStar found one window in the mid game and just turned it all in their favor?
I think EStars were given a window, and I think a lot of you guys will agree. Imperium Pro Team needs to find the wisdom to understand what they can change and what they can't. Once they do, I think they'll be very effective in choosing their decisions going forward. So I think there's a shot for the underdog here. They are down 0-1. Everyone's still got chances, but this is a very important match. Fnatic is looming on the other side of the bracket. So it's going to be a great game, I think.
As the monitors raise, that means the game is ready to begin. Take it away, Dreadnought and Grubby.
Sick. Such a cool game coming up here, guys. I'm glad you are here with us to witness this. On the left side for Team China, we have EStar, Misaka on Merdin, Xian Xiao on Tassadar, Tiger on Ariel, Tumi on Sonya, and Vala by Xiang Chen.
And on the red side, we're going to have Imperium Pro Team. Harhar will be playing the Arthas, Mir on Rehgar, NSJ on Tychus once more, stronger on the ETC as always, and Zaze, who, by the way, for me, felt like he played that Li Ming great last game. He's going to be on that one key hero that we see come up once in a while, Gul'dan.
Yeah, there was some great disintegrate play by him last game, not getting that wave of force. Securing some really key kills on Jaina.
And already starting at level 1, I have to say that we see Echoed Corruption coming out
the only
from
choice.
Gul'dan. Oh, you know, as I think it's seen very limited play in our first day of Gul'dan, coming out from iDream. So a little bit more of what we know and love when it comes to Gul'dan. He has so much damage coming out in the back half of the game. If he hits his E, gets the poke coming out. But we're going to start out with maybe another Bloodbath at level 1. The kill potential for Imperium Pro Team at 1 is insane. Having Double Warrior, Arthas is one of the most terrifying, having that persistent CC. So it looks like EStar is going to be a bit more passive.
Yeah, we're way behind the mark of takedowns from last game. 26 seconds and 1 down apiece was the score there. An unusually passive game by the two here. As we are at 45 seconds, we get a bit of a skirmish there. Nice stacks for the Echoed Corruption. The more that Gul'dan hits that purple advancing circle thing, the more damage it's going to do, because it will end up turning around for a total of 6 shots. 3 forwards, 1 on the spot, and then 2 backwards. That is Gul'dan's power and zone control, and that's where the majority of his damage comes out. Now, we see that minigun coming from NSJ on Xing Chen, dropping to 40% life. They will get saved by Tiger there.
Yeah, reasonable amount of damage and poke coming out between these teams. A 1-4 is the strategy here on the side of Imperium Pro Team. Very common when it comes to this map. They have a lot of wave clear, so they're going to try and abuse that and leave their best 1v1ers on the upper half of the map. A bit of an ambitious approach there for Har. Has very limited self-sustain in the early levels. Meanwhile, Sonya does have the war paint, so to take that minion damage for free, I would argue just a bit too aggressive here, even though he does want to be winning that lane matchup. And we're now going to have our first shrine spawn, and can't help but reiterate, there is a lot of shrine control for Imperium, whereas Tassadar and Sonya, Vala can kind of steal, but Sonya is going to be the core here for EStar.
Zaze getting attacked here. Stormbolt will miss. Nice dodges indeed. Stronger there coming with the save as well, and Howling Blast will miss its mark. Now, we see Sonya starting the shrine. No, that is not the right shrine. Okay.
Yeah.
Both teams are level 4 and everyone is going to the middle now.
Yeah, and again, seeing how Sonya is not collapsing onto the shrine, again, she is one of their main shrine control heroes, so by not having her, it's all relying on Vala and Tassadar to get it. They're worried about the minion soak, and that is why I can't help but focus on Imperium's clear. Because you have so many, when you only have 1 to 2, they are a must-have. But when they're your best solo, it suddenly becomes a difficult thing. So Sonya is so important. Now we see Toomey has made the rotation. They do have the opportunity to get the rebuttal here, as we do sit on pretty even, roughly about 15 for both these teams on the skeletal defenders.
Yeah, the resource management is very important here for Imperium Pro Team. They don't have someone like Sonya who doesn't have mana. Now hold that thought, Howling Blast is huge. Xingchen dropping to 10% of his life. Rhaegar goes down almost. ETC goes down stronger, falling victim here. That is both warriors down. Insane.
Exactly what I was talking about. If they fail to get that aggressive engage and they get the rebuttal between the tasks, between Ariel, Sonya is going to smash into Imperium Pro Team. And that was exactly what we saw there, and I think that might be the case for the remainder of the game until we hit the back half where Gul'dan suddenly starts chunking everyone. But for now, EStar is going to pick up the first Punisher here. Ariel sent to soak the top, Tassadar on the bottom, and we'll see if they end up getting a pick off this leap. They should focus the sidewall here, as no, they're just going to play the patient game. They don't even want it, so they're just going to worry about taking out that front wall. They've already got a level lead, Grubby.
Yeah, they're just taking out the wall, getting some XP, got that level lead from the takedowns, 2 versus nothing. And once they got those 2 towers, they're kind of just gonna pull back, it seems. And they're doing exactly that. Now, counter engaged by Arthas. Has EStar overstayed here? Toomey dropping pretty low. NSJ 5%. And he pulls away.
Now Har is in a rough spot as well, trying to withdraw. Howling Blast is sent out, so is the power slide. They will be able to get out for now. Xingchen is not done yet. Great harass coming out from him. We complimented him before this game and his ability to get that damage out, but even when he is facing into 5, you see he is maximizing the value out of Vala whenever possible, and they are still holding up this 1 level lead. Painting the map their colors, stealing a couple of camps, and for now, EStar seems to have a much better control of the early game, as we saw compared to the first match.
And look at this, EStar is not afraid to miss some experience soak, north and south. They are grouping a lot in this game. They even see a level 7 versus 6 as enough cause and reason to apply additional siege damage. And it is actually pro teams of the highest level that find it possible to skip experience soak for some guaranteed siege damage. Now, if you are wrong and you invest several members, like your entire team, to a single lane, and you don't get the damage because you're too passive or the defense is too good, you have just made a net loss. But EStar found a window there to bring that 4 to half-life and take down that final tower.
Imperium Pro Team is now put in a very difficult position because the next timing of the shrines is most likely going to fall just in a position to where if it's not focused heavily, actually, as I say that though, Misaka is going to be concentrated, gets the Dwarf Toss out, this is going to be stolen. But again, it's going to fall around where EStar can delay long enough to be able to hit that 10 threshold, and Imperium Pro Team is not going to be anywhere near it. So they have to decide, do they want to instantly commit to that shrine, all in it, and risk that 10 fight? Or are they going to wait it out? See, this is it. They have, it's a very easy stall for EStar, and now they have to all in, or they have to just completely back out.
And Imperium just made their decision. They had the window there to attack the bottom fort. No, they are falling to indecision. I thought that was it. That was the fork in the road, where if you see them all rotate north, they're going to contest it and try to all in someone and win that fight in 5 seconds before Sonya is starting to turn it around. But they actually went mid, go bottom again, let's empower the Impalers, and now are going middle again. And it's that kind of crucial delay, that hesitation that really hurts Imperium here.
So now let's talk about, between the 2 decisions that they had, what was the right one in a lot of situations? Because
I think they had to just attack bottom. They're already there.
I agree.
That makes it the more fluid choice. Attack the wall, 4-man it.
And the most important thing I think coming out of all that is, you know, you're going to be giving up the shrine almost 100%, and your opponents are going to be 10 during that time. You need as much experience as possible to catch up to 10, because all Otherwise, your opponent has a Punisher, they have level 10 advantage, and there is no way you're stopping that guy from just coming in, smashing your faces along with Sonya's spear behind it.
Exactly, and we see teams that are in the middle or the top make that decision.
Yes.
Let's rotate bottom. They were already there. It is 50-50 whether the shrine was going to be north or south. And they made the wrong choice, I think. And now they're kind of suffering for it because they go top. They were just 5-man top 10 seconds ago. Now starting to spread out again. So that fluidity that we saw in game 1 from Imperium Pro Team, which impressed us so much, is a little bit less here. They're a bit rattled. Now they're getting level 10, all is not lost. Punisher is going to go to China here, and Southeast Asia will mount a defense with level 10 once again.
To be fair, EStar's lack of prioritization onto the map objective has allowed Imperium Pro Team to obtain that 10 they were so terrified
they put
about
one
getting.
member on it.
Exactly, which put it into a position to where now that terrifying cause that Imperium was panicked about is no longer has to consider even Odining up this early. Misaka is coming in for the flank though. Punisher leaps over the wall. Keep in mind that Arthas and Tacit are still nowhere into the fight in the 1v1 in mid, so it's only going to be a 4 vs 4. NSJ taking a reasonable amount of poke, but this Punisher is just wailing onto the fort. The leap, Misaka, will he get the follow-up? He ends up going on. Good cleanse from Mir, and this is going to just be a free fort, Grub.
Yeah, that was a really nice job by Misaka. That single Thunderclap and Stormbolt actually rattled Tychus more maybe than he should have. NSJ did not auto-attack for 6 to 7 seconds as he tried to capture a good position. So that was a pretty effective move there by EStar, that flanking Muradin style, and they got a fort down there.
And so now this skirmish over this map objective. Great body block coming out from Misaka into the chokehold here. Stun onto ETC. Har ends up getting the Howling Blast. The Aegis will be able to save Muradin for a short period of time. He gets the knockback. Muradin will Dwarf Toss. He can be chokehold in, but good Stormbolt secures his life. And now what was just a small skirmish, nobody ends up going down. Heroics were traded, but I can't help but promote that as those fights go longer and longer here for the Gul'dan in those chokeholds, he is suddenly going to become a monster. He has almost hit Echoed Corruption at full for his quest talents, and when that happens, those team fights there, that is where Gul'dan thrives.
Yeah, and he pretty much has to make use of that before Sonya hits level 20.
Yes.
At which point she becomes a near invincible monster. So Imperium Pro Team must control the mid game more than we can even emphasize.
And here he goes, a small skirmish. Power Slide is coming out. Har is trying to tank a bit of damage as well. Mir is in a rough position, trying to run out. Howling Blast goes on to 1. There's very little poke here that is effective on the side of the Gul'dan. As I say that though, Toomey gets Power Slide out. Huge Ancestral's going to miss there. Mir is not going to hit it, and that was great focus from EStar. They're a man up. They're almost a talent tier up now, and they are starting to get a pretty big control in this match.
How did ETC go forward? Did he actually Power Slide forward?
Yes.
Yeah, there's no displacement. So pretty big mistake there by Stronger, and 99% of the animation of Ancestral Healing actually was there.
I thought it hit, I'll be honest, and I'm a support main, so that was...
Me too, I thought it too.
Yeah, so now we do see Gul'dan ends up falling as well. Another fort. Structural integrity here for Imperium Pro Team is just slowly withering away, and EStar is going to paint the map their color. They've got a 2-level lead at this point, and they're in a position to pretty much never take a fight that they don't have to. Imperium has to make that same decision they did at that 9 to 10 spike for almost the rest of the game. But as I say that, Stronger had the rough positioning on bottom, and he's still continuing to have it.
Look at that, Xing Chen getting the auto attacks with the perfect stutter step, making use of that time in between auto attacks to close the distance with that hot pursuit, 20% bonus movement speed, and they secure the kill on Stronger once again. Now, we are in a situation here where EStar can just dedicate a single hero, in this case Sonya, to the objective and then send forward to hunt Imperium Pro Team, which essentially, nice kill there on Arthas. Like, this is the desperation that is afflicting Imperium Pro Team here. They're looking to get something done elsewhere on the map, but EStar isn't giving them anything.
Yeah, they are not allowing them to have any part of experience wherever they try and pick it up onto the map. And that is really what great teams do. They realize the resources allocated on the side of Imperium Pro Team, where are they, and what can we really shut down? Because you know, they're right now, they're trying to stop the bleeding. They are looking to bandage whatever part of the situation they can, and there's very few spots that EStar is just going, you know what, we're going to let you have that. We're going to take anything and everything, and I'd love to see that coming out from them.
And the most advanced aspect of what EStar is doing here in the laning is not killing the lane minions north and in the middle. They are not pushing, I mean, now of course they are because they're already pushing with the Punisher, but in the last 45 seconds, they were not pushing the lanes, which means that in order to soak experience, Imperium Pro Team needs to go deep on the map. That's what happened to Arthas. That's how Harhar died in the north. So level 13 was reached so late, and they effectively delayed the level 13 until EStar practically has level 16. So what a great way to stay ahead, and I think an aspect that very few people understand. Now, Punisher coming in, Murden jumping in as well.
And now Misaka is trying to get poked. Toomey is being very aggressive, worrying about the well for now. Punisher leap almost off cooldown. Stronger, moving out. This is very risky. The next man he gets his eyes on, he will be going in. Turns out it's going to be the Odin. Toomey is worried about the fort. Harhar, though, is trying to get the counter engage here. You can see they're patiently waiting. Odin moving past a bit, and this is where they're going to try and take this fight. But their engage is so limited. Mosh Pit is not the stage dive that they might need in this situation. Toomey gets a bit of poke. They're trying so hard. Harhar is mounted up. This Howling Blast is a must-have, and it is not going to land. Now the counter response. EStar, Misaka leaps in. That's a one-man mosh pit. Harhar is going ham here onto this team. Great Ancestral will keep Misaka alive. Harhar trying to be able to get Xing Shin killed, but turns out just the opposite. Arthas goes down, one in favor of EStar for now. Toomey spin to win, and it looks like he's getting nobody to interrupt. Everybody for Imperium Pro Team is falling, and this is not the place you want to take that fight and not have success, because that could be game.
I respect what the Imperium Pro Team is doing there, going for the 13 versus 16.
Yeah.
Seems like a mistake, but you've got to do something, or EStar will continue to do what they have been, strangulating the life out of Imperium Pro Team and just getting a chokehold on the battleground. Look at those blue forts on the minimap. We see 6 in perfect health, perfect condition, so the fight was good. And the idea of Harhar on Arthas chasing Vala away to prevent damage to other people was also good, but I think he went a little bit too far. For eventually he cannot gain that mobility. Now Stronger once again going down right before his entire team is back. A few mistakes too many here from Imperium Pro Team, who are now finding themselves quite far behind.
And so when we saw the Punisher going towards that keep wall on the bottom half of the map, there was a 3-level lead in the second or third strongest talents here in the game advantage on the side of EStar, that being the 16. And I can't help but criticize their lack of focus on either mid gate or side gate. Yes, they did want to capitalize on they wanted to capitalize onto the Punisher leap, and they did a little bit, but it wasn't nearly as efficient as it could have been with concentration onto one of those side walls. So I just feel like, yes, EStar has had pretty good control over this, but it is still a little bit sloppy at moments. I really do think that that was something, because you could tell they wanted that fight, and they could have had it if they had just done those things. But we'll see if they're going to be able to clean it up here. But for now, with this lead, 3.5 levels over Imperium Pro Team, I don't think that they're going to need to tone it down at all in this game.
Yeah, any mistakes that EStar makes at this point will most likely be forgotten in the oblivion that they are inflicting upon Imperium Pro Team, as the amount of extra health and damage that you do when you are higher level is, I mean, a 3-level difference is something like 14% more power level in addition to the talent that you get at level 16. So more HP, more damage, that is going to be pretty easy fights for EStar here.
Yeah, and you see Harhar trying to get the soak in the side lanes. They're worried about that 16 talents here that I was referencing earlier. We know that this Punisher is going to be moving towards the mid lane. Top keep is the only one available, so the bait for Imperium Pro Team, their play is going to be baiting it over the wall, and then, as I say that, though, Stronger, great cleanse from Mir, going to be able to get him out of there. Harhar will be just fine as well, but they need to bait it away from their core, because this could be a win condition with 1 to 2 picks-offs for EStar. They need to bait it up top and try and buy time, and then initiate while they're trying to get that mid keep. Kind of, you know, he is a very, very strong, very aggressive, but he's not the brightest crayon in the box, you know? He's going to move towards that keep over the core.
Yeah, and that is going to be pretty much the only light at the end of the tunnel here for Imperium Pro Team. In the next 45 seconds, their fate in this first game, I believe, will be decided. They are down 3 levels, but they finally got that level 16 talent here. This is the final defense of the last vestige of defenses that Imperium Pro Team can do here. Arthas is going to get caught, but this could be a blessing in disguise, as a lot of skills get used on the tank, who now summoned his defensive army of the dead.
There is no bait to the top keep, as I said, which means the leap is now going to be moving on to somebody for kill potential as well. This is exactly what EStar wants. There is nobody moving it upwards. The Punisher just wailing in, NSJ in the Odin trying to make something happen. Good Ancestral will be able to keep the Arthas alive. Zay's in a rough spot. He throws out his spear. He knows he's out of position. NSJ is just ripping into Toomey, but they're waiting for that 20 spike. Punisher is still not on the keep. Arthas now will be going down. Toomey kept alive through the ages. 4 versus 5 with the Punisher. They are moving in towards the core. It looks like EStar might be able to have it. NSJ accepts his fate. Rhaegar's going to follow rather quickly, and this is going to be game number 2 to EStar.
EStar looking a lot more confident, a lot more dominant than in the first game, and are now looking to close out this series 2-0. They have done what is expected of them against this upstart from Southeast Asia. EStar taking the 2-0 and a few more kills for good measure, as the core of the red team falls 2-0 to EStar.
Yeah, such a great play there. Not even giving at the very end there the dream mosh pit, the denial coming out from Tiger. And we brought it up before the game that if they do look for that initiation in the early half and fail to get it, where Sonya will end up arriving. And it felt like every single time that happened, because you have Gul'dan, he's a damage over time, he's a poke. Yes, Tychus does have a reasonable amount of damage output, but it's usually not burst focus. Again, it's pokey, and then he's got good sustained follow-up. They had the engage onto the front line, but Tassadar has the highest single, minus Ariel, she's a rare exception with 16. That's a weird anomaly. He's the highest single target healing output in 5 seconds over any support in the game. So if you are looking to be like, let's be that burst comp, and you're against a double healer with the task, you have to have actual burst. And they never were able to do that to the front line. And Toomey just didn't, he wasn't afraid of anything, you know? He just wasn't scared.
You look at Imperium's composition, it was largely crafted for the objectives. We had the Odin, we had the Gul'dan, and the Arthas really looking to get those Punishers, but unfortunately, Imperium didn't see a whole lot of success there.
Yeah, and there was one very important point. It wasn't the flashiest point, but it's the point I've chosen to highlight, because there comes a time when you start to get a little bit of a lead that you can try to control all of the merc camps, all of the aggression to further that lead. But if you make the wrong choice there, you could get caught and give momentum back to your opponents. And that's what we saw in the first game happen. So this is what happens with EStar, and this is the point I'm talking about. Stronger has Mosh Pit again, and EStar realizes it. And they're in a pretty tough spot. You can see there's a lot of the members of EStar very far forward, especially Misaka. They would like to back out of this, and the key player is our Tiger the Tank. He uses Detainment Strike to push back Stronger once, letting them further get back, and then when it's only Misaka left, he throws down the Crystal Aegis as Misaka is retreating back, just further making sure he can get back. By that point, Misaka can Dwarf Toss just about to this position, throws out a Storm Bolt to Tychus, who has come in, and they all get out in time. And that enables them to give no experience. As we play this forward, it's going to enable them to make sure that they give no experience to Imperium Pro Team. They get further on into the game, eventually getting a 4-level lead over their opponents. Very smart play from EStar in that game.
What I like there as well in that segment that you chose is that there's always this interplay between ETC and Murden, where Murden needs to try and jump away, and ETC will try to face smelt him to keep him in place and cancel the escape of Murden. You always saw Misaka waiting with Dwarf Toss, and Stronger use face smelt too early. And it's kind of difficult to predict exactly because you kind of need to predict it. And that was really good play by Misaka, which meant that he could always get out of those tough situations.
Well, really well played by EStar, and congrats to them. We actually have an interview lined up with Anna Prosser. Anna, take it away.
Hi there, guys. I am here indeed with Xing Chen and our translator. We are ready for an interview right now. So first, I wanted to ask, in that first game, it looked like maybe there was a little bit of trouble. It looked like maybe EStar was a bit behind, but they were able to pull it out. What was the turning point there?
他问就是第一场比赛你们一开始是落后了，但是最后是逆转了。你觉得你们的秘诀或者说诀窍是什么？
那个阵容就是一开始我们拿的那个阵容前期就有点劣势嘛。 10级前、7级前没有进化的时候是有点劣势的，但是就是10级后嘛，就越往后面打，我们就阵容就优势会发挥的越大。然后我们的打法就是也会就是看着就团战，因为打输了嘛，我会想办法去扭转，就是改变方法战略去打。
So he said that the heroes he picks was weaker before level 10, but after level 10, the heroes is stronger. And in the beginning, when they lost in some team fights, they gain some experience and they know how to fight better in the later, so they win the first match. Yeah.
Well, speaking of heroes, the casters were mentioning in the second game, they thought that the draft of EStar might be a little weaker than their opponents, but obviously they were able to win that pretty easily. Could you tell us a little bit about the draft in the second game?
他问第二场比赛那个有一个主播说你们的阵容的一个班选，你们选的英雄可能比对方要弱，但是实际比赛打起来的话，看起来你们的优势还是很大的。你觉得你们的秘诀或者说诀窍是什么？
我们就是刚刚在班选的时候，我知道我们班选是落后的，但是我们当时其实就是我们班选是出现了劣势嘛，但是我们当时就是我们自己本来就想也想就是用劣势中的打一下嘛，反正就这个地图我们熟悉，没事节奏熟悉，我们感觉打得过。
So he said that they know the heroes they pick are weaker than their opponents. But but they are more familiar with the map, so they are really confident about this match. So that's the reason they won this game. Yeah.
Well, it looked very good. Congratulations again, and thank you so much, guys. We'll be right back after this with Fnatic versus Please Buff Arthas. Don't go anywhere.